Hi Dave, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you.
Very good. You are bassist for legendary East Coast's hardcore metal band Dog Eat Dog. The first time I've heard of Dog Eat Dog was a friend of mine gave me a cassette back in those days. That's how old I am. And I listened to it and I thought for myself, who would try to merge hardcore metal a la Biohazard with saxophone sounds of Candy Dolfer? And then I thought, this is awesome, I love it. And now my question, was it planned or did it just happen?
Nothing in Dog Eat Dog has ever been planned. We started out as a group of friends who just wanted to make music that we enjoyed, that sounded good to us. Mm-hmm. We would get together a few times a week in my basement and we would just play music, and we had a friend who played saxophone, and we wrote one song that we thought, hey, this would be funny with some saxophone. It was called the Strip Song. And he came over and he played saxophone, and when everyone heard it, it just somehow sounded natural, it sounded good. So we said, hey, maybe we try sax on one more song. And it just became part of the sound, but it was nothing planned. It was just, we had a friend who knew how to play saxophone and we thought it would be a good idea. And even if you listen to the first song of the first record, it starts with a banjo. Mm-hmm. And we just had a banjo lying around in the basement, so we used it. So I think with this band, it's always been very natural, nothing really planned, just having fun. And we never thought it was going to become a 25-year journey. We just did it because we loved it.
Sure. Well, it seems as if you guys are really creative and you like to try out new things. And I remember when Play Games came out, that was 1996, yep. I assume. You had different guest vocalists like Reza from the Wu-Tang Clan, yeah. Hip-hop or rap. And I remember reading different reviews of the album saying, and now they're moving more into a pop sound. First of all, do you agree with that? Is it more pop?
I do agree. A lot of people consider pop to be a bad thing. And I look at pop as a way to describe something maybe with some more melody to it, something that's a little catchier. But I think what happened between All Boro Kings and Play Games was somewhat of a shift in the members of the band.
Okay.
Two, we had already had a couple of hits, and the record label then puts pressure on the band to come up with songs that will be friendly for MTV and radio. And at the time, in the mid-90s, there was a lot of pop punk going on, Green Day, Offspring, and those, it's just a product of the timing, So when we went into Play Games, I was doing a lot more of the guitar writing because Dan Nastasi, the guitar player who was on All Boro Kings, had a lot to do with the big songs on that record, but he left the band, and even though I had been writing a lot of the material, it was kind of left to me to do some stuff, and so songs like Rocky, came out of that, and it was really an homage to pop punk, and there's definitely a more pop feeling. But if you listen to Play Games, I don't think the production of the record is so pop. I think it's still pretty raw record. It's not a huge budget sounding record, but I think there's more melodic vocals. We all went and took vocal lessons before that and learned how to sing a little bit, learned how to harmonize. I mean, it's something we wanted to do. It's not, we weren't forced into it. We felt that this was somewhere we wanted to go. So I have no regrets over Play Games. I just feel that there were a lot of differences between 94 and 96 for this band.
You just mentioned the record label might put some more pressure on you to have a more MTV-friendly song, maybe on the record. That was in the mid-90s. And if I remember correctly, I read that All Boro Kings sold over 600,000 albums back then already. MTV, you were on heavy rotation and everything. So MTV-friendly songs. MTV today, I've been told they don't play much music videos anymore.
Yeah. So we wouldn't have that same pressure if it was today, because most bands aren't really there's nothing being played on MTV. But back then it was a big deal. When we wrote Isms, which was the first single, that was something that we wrote just like all the old songs. It was not something that was planned to be a single. It just turned out to be a catchy song. So, yeah.
Sure.
And Rocky was not planned to be anything. That was a joke song that ended up becoming very catchy, and the record label really liked it and wanted to put it out. The song we were the most interested in was the RZA Step Right In song, and that was the one that I believe, and the band believes, may have just been slightly ahead of its time. No one really knew the RZA yet, and the Wu-Tang yet. I mean, they were underground still, and the record label at that time did not feel that it was worth spending a lot of money on, and we were very disappointed that they pulled the plug on that single, and that they released a CD of it single, but the video was never made. And we had the RZA agreed to be in the video, and it was a remix by one of the guys from Die Fantastischen Wir, and it was all ready to go, and a day before they said forget it.
No, I didn't know that. That's,
so very disappointing for us. And the thing with Ronnie James Dio is we grew up on metal, and I love Dio. I saw him in 1985 play, and John and everybody loved him, and the record label basically said, you can do anything you want on this record. And we said, well, we want Ronnie James Dio, and they made it happen. And we ended up getting him on the record. And he was like, what do you want me to do? And we said, well, just sing that part, and that's it. And he goes, but I flew all the way out here. Why not use me for more lyrics? And we said, that's it. So we just sat for hours talking about Black Sabbath and Ronnie James Dio, and it was an incredible experience for us.
I can imagine. Great. In early 2000, after breaking up with your record label, Roadrunner, I think it was, right? Apparently there was a request to put the old lineup back together, which you did, and then you formed a band called All Boro Kings.
Right.
That was, 10 years after the old band split, basically?
Well, yeah, I mean,
about?
It was, I think, 8 years after,
okay.
Yeah.
So when you got back together, how did it make you feel? Was it like going back to the roots, refreshing, or was it taking a step back from everything?
I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. I think looking back now, I think if there was some way that record could have come between All Boro Kings and Play Games, it would have been the perfect record.
I understand.
Because it retained the same original vibe and sound that we were going for, and it was one of the easiest records I've ever made. It was very natural. Every song just came out, and everything was no problems, no interference, no nothing, just a bunch of guys making songs that we liked. So it was a very special record to me. I listened to it, and I feel really good about what we did then. But it was supposed to be 2 new Dog Eat Dog songs, but when we went to record the demo for it, unfortunately, John had something else to do and he couldn't make it. So we said, well, we can't cancel. So we just did it without him. And that, therefore, it went from being Dog Eat Dog to we can't call it Dog Eat Dog without John. So we call it All Boro Kings.
Okay.
And that's how that came about. It was kind of by accident. And then when we made the record, of course, we asked John to come and sing on, at least, I think 2 songs he sang on as well. So, we wanted him to be a part of it, but it wasn't the original plan. But hey, it was a great record, and I know it's something like an underground record still. Not many people have heard it, but I always encourage people to seek out the All Boro Kings record if you're a fan of Dog Eat Dog, old school Dog Eat Dog. It's, it's the same style as the old records.
Exactly. No, I saw that 2 of your records, Amped and I forgot the name, Walk With Me, exactly. They were not released in the US.
No, unfortunately, at that time, our relationship with Roadrunner was becoming a bit rocky, and I don't think that they believed in the band as much as they did at one time. And, not only that, but, staff members of the record label will change, and some of the people who were there to really support us didn't work there anymore. So there wasn't anybody to really push us hard, So we spent 10 months making this Amped record. We felt it was, something, one of our best records. And when it came out and not so much support went into it, we became very disappointed, and we figured, okay, we need to try something new. And we hired a new management, and that management said, okay, first thing, we get away from Roadrunner and we get you onto a new label. But nothing worked. Everything just was not, it was the beginning of the death of record labels, The beginning of the death of record labels. And had we stayed on Roadrunner a little while longer and made another record, maybe things would have been different. But basically we did what we felt we had to do at the time. We got off the label, and then we couldn't get another label, and we had demoed material for Walk With Me in as early as 2001, 2002, but we couldn't do anything with it. And then finally, a new manager stepped up and said, hey, I believe in the band and I want to help you. And he hooked us up with Klaus Grabke, who is a pro skateboarder, engineer, producer from the band Thumb, who were pretty big in the 90s as well. So we already knew him. And he loved the band, and he said, you come to my studio and we're going to make this record. And it was a very good experience. Walk With Me felt to me the way that I described the All Boro Kings album, where it was just very natural, a bunch of guys isolated on a farm making a record with no interference of any kind of record label or anything. And it was exactly the songs we wanted to make. It was exactly the complete freedom that any band could wish for. So Walk With Me is really the record that I can listen to from all the Dog Eat Dog records and feel that's the record we all wanted to make.
We just interviewed a group from France called Electro Deluxe, and they told us that they keep all the ownership of the music to themselves. They have their own label, they don't go to other labels, they just have distribution deals. Do you think that is the way to go for small, medium-sized bands nowadays?
I completely think that that's the way, because since Dog Eat Dog got off Roadrunner and has done it our way, even though we only released one record, it's every dollar that's made, at least we know where it's going. And I think since what I call the death of the record labels, which is really in the last 10 years, I mean, it's very... It doesn't make, even record labels now say the band has to pay for its own record, or you record it, we'll put it out. It's not like it used to be where they used to have budgets and put it out. No one's got money for that anymore. So I think now by doing it yourself, we have, many more ways to get music to people through the internet and through iTunes and things like that, where we didn't have that in the 90s. The only way you were going to hear the music was to buy the record. But now bands have other avenues, I think, that make more sense and put more money into the band's pocket, which is very important, and also give you complete freedom over your music. And now we don't own the rights to any of our Roadrunner songs. So
you don't?
No, because the only way to get off the record label was to give them the rights. Now, that was a long time ago, and ownership rights can revert back and can be bought back. And I hope someday we can own our own songs again, because it hurts to know that you spent so much time writing and playing these songs and someone else owns them.
Of course, yeah. Of course, Electro Deluxe, they were telling us they own the masters and they would never give them away.
Yeah.
So that's, of course, a good thing. Now that I hear it from you, of course.
Definitely.
Of course. And talking about support, radio support, I read I suppose it's quite an old interview. You were interviewed, I think that was 1997, for a music blog, and they were asking you why you didn't go to play the UK, and it was because the radios didn't promote your single. Today, it's different, right? You have, as you just said, the internet. So would you not go and tour somewhere because you don't have support, or would you just push it yourself through your own internet channels and then still go?
Well, I remember the interview that you're talking about, and that it may have been taken the wrong way. It wasn't that we didn't go to UK. It's just that some countries were promoting faster than others. So strategically, when you're in a band, you want to go to the places that the single is being promoted heavier, because the people know your music. And if they don't know the new song, sometimes it makes more sense to wait until that song. But unfortunately, by the end of the 90s, the UK was one of our biggest countries that we played in, but by the end of the 90s, it started to somewhat peter out. And, I love the UK, and I'm so happy that our relationship with them is back. But I hate to say it, but they're a kind of press in the UK likes to turn on bands. You know, one day you're their favorite and the next day they're slagging you in the press, you know. So that's the UK, and it is the way it's always been, and it's the way it always will be. So yeah, we had a great run there, and we loved our time in the UK. We did every television show, we played Top of the Pops, we played everything. But then we went 10 years without playing at all in the UK.
Oh, 10 years?
Yeah, and it was really hard for us because we had so many friends there and we had such a good relationship with our fans. But, you know, we had 2 opportunities to go, but the promoters of the shows did not get the proper working papers, and we ended up sitting by the ferry waiting to cross, and they said you can't go. And, you know, unfortunately the fans think it's the band that doesn't want to go, or the band decided not to, but that's not the case. We tried twice to get there. Then finally, a couple of years ago, everything went through, and we arrived back in London, and we had an incredible show. And then we played the Sonosphere Festival last year, and we just played again in London a few days ago. And yeah, I think everything with Dog Eat Dog and the UK are
back to normal,
back on good terms again.
That's very good to hear. You have a song on your YouTube channel, a video for the song Walk With Me.
Yeah.
And it says unofficial video.
Yeah.
It's on your official channel.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I don't know. I think at the time that we filmed that, it was something just, hey, by the way, we have some film left over from shooting. Why don't we make another quick video? So in our minds, I guess we thought, well, this isn't a real video. This is just a kind of a fun little something to put out so people can hear. And we called it the unofficial video, but now 8 years later, it's the official video. So we should remove that because we never had the opportunity to go back and make another version. But I think it's a kind of cool video, and it's fine for me. It's not exactly a typical video, but it shows you festival life, and it's kind of an old school style video. So I thought it was really cool. But that really is the official video. And we've been trying to make videos, and we wanted to make a video for MILF, and we started filming it, and we were going to make a live video, and unfortunately, it just didn't happen. But we're guys who have good intentions, but we also don't have so much time together. So sometimes making videos and making songs and new music, it can be very difficult. We want to, but and we're still going to try to, and we'd like to make some new music as soon as possible, and as early as maybe in the summer we might have the opportunity to record a new song or two.
Great. So will you also make a video and post it on YouTube so that we get to hear it?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So you go with the times.
Definitely. We're not interested in spending a fortune on a video and then, trying to get it played on anything. It would be made specifically for the fans, for the friends, and, just make something and share it.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. So we're at the bonus question.
Okay.
The bonus question is usually a question which is just very important to us personally. The question today for you is, you can choose between recording an album on solely analog technology, Studer tape machine, without digital post-production, or everything completely digital with all the softwares and whatever the producer's hearts nowadays start shining. Which one would you choose?
That's an interesting question because I've done it both ways.
Exactly.
I started with the old tape and cutting tape and splicing tape and putting it together, and I've done completely digital record. Walk With Me is, I think, completely digital. But you know what happens? Hard drives break. Ooh. And all of a sudden you've lost your album because a hard drive went down.
Ouch.
So it's really hard for me to answer, but I would have to say I'm kind of a fan of modern technology, so I think I would go with modern technology.
Okay.
But I love old school music and I love old school tape. I just think you can have a lot of fun with computers, and having fun is really the most important thing.
That's a great ending line. Dave, thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to seeing this on your blog.
Thank you very much.